was only a couple years ago in high school when I first started to become curious towards glass. It has always puzzled me how something like glass can be shaped, given that it can be so easily shattered, and how could a clear substance like glass be made?
Like from a young age, I was really fascinated with fire and flames.
Not so much for me. In fact, at a young age, fire was something I had little interest in. It was almost a borderline fear of fire, something that was cool to look at, but not to get near, and certainly not to play with. I wouldn't play with a lion for the same reasons I wouldn't play with fire. I did not want to risk getting hurt.
It's very immediate, and you really can't, obviously, given the heat, 2,000 to 2,400 degrees, when it comes out of the furnace, you can't touch it with your hands.
Also, in doing a little bit of studying up on glass art, I became aware that glass sculpture is not always revered as art. The reason for this is that although glass sculpture has many qualities that make an aesthetically pleasing design, there is often little or no concept behind it. It is just a random design. So to conquer these curiosities, I will learn how to blow glass and eventually create some kind of piece. Although my abilities can only be progressed so far and my final piece may not be too complicated, I am still aiming to create art rather than just a random design. My final goal will be to enter this piece in the 0401 benefit auction, where I will let the public decide whether my piece can be considered good art.
Pretty much every day I've just been coming here blowing glass, and it's become honestly just like an addiction. Just on the level of any other addiction. I feel like I'm not addicted to like heroin, but it's I pretty much am with glass, you know. It's bad. Just I'm spending a lot of time with it, but I'm definitely happy that I'm doing it, you know.
Glass is capable of all that you asked about. I mean, from production, it's been used traditionally for thousands of years, from the Romans to Venetians and so forth. We can go through the history books for a vessel, for a drinking vessel, also for ornamental purposes, vases, one-of-a-kind objects, of course, and also the artworks. It's quite a vast arena, if you will. I mean, I have a disciplined training. I worked in factories in South America and Murano for established artists and maestros. I've implemented production work for various designers, as well as one-of-a-kind large-scale commissions to specific requirements, dimensions, proportions, colors. 18 years. I've been blowing glass for 18 years. Part of my profession. I realized that more so when I moved to the West Coast from the East Coast. Actually, when I was still, I just finished undergrad, I had a better idea that obviously this was going to be the direction I was going to take with my career, at least attempt to.
I met someone who blew glass, and I just decided I wanted to try it, so I invested some money. I took a lesson, and I tried it once, and I just knew it was something I really was interested in and I wanted to continue with. And just saved up, bought all my own equipment, and it's been all downhill from there.
Well, my goals as executive director here at Public Glass are to create more of a cohesive structure in our organization, from the board to the community, and also engender and elaborate on our innovative educational programs in all of our studios.
My curiosities have led me into San Francisco to take lessons at a studio known as Public Glass. They will be the ones who teach me the art of glassblowing. Although right now I know nothing, the professionals who work here should be able to help me.
Simple advice I would provide you with is essentially to keep trying, enjoy yourself. Have a good time while you're blowing glass, as well as work with the material, and explore your options and your opportunities to work with different genres of glass, as I mentioned.
I mean, glass is extremely frustrating. I've ruined so many things. I've broken so much glass and like just wasted so much money on like equipment like that. But just every time you make something awesome, it's just so satisfying. And
a student that wants to continue the education in glass, the manipulation of glass, to understand and form your interpretation of what someone's attempting to do. Everyone works at different speeds, everyone has a different dexterity, proficiency level, especially instructors. And of course they're going to convey to you the best they can, articulate what they're doing and why they're doing for what purpose. But it's also, as you're working, to basically form that translation. Why are they doing it at this time and how to make it work for you? I mean, I think you can, as an instructor, teacher, engender certain directions, certain processes of thought to engage someone to think perhaps creatively. But I think it's more of an intuitive approach of one's own to come up with a concept, an idea, especially innovative enough to bring forward and present and then execute for an audience. And what classifies art?
I think art is extremely subjective, and it really, I mean, it's really in the eyes of the viewer whether they consider it art.
A lot of it has to do with who's perceiving this. It has to do with concept and traditional balance of form, content as well. The artist that designs the work, their background, their intentions of the piece. You would label me as a gaffer. And a gaffer is an artisan who basically implements components or works for other artists and designers, brings that particular piece or project to fruition, completing an artist's design. One of my contiguous forms, and basically it's the concept behind it is similar to a puzzle. I below each one of these pieces is a separate form. I mean, I have a direction and understanding of how these forms are going to somehow fit together, a vague notion, but there's no preconceived specific of one piece fitting into another one in a certain way until I've blown and implemented the forms. And then I put it together like a puzzle's never been put together before. It's very specific how they do come together and lock.
It's something I really am interested in pursuing on a professional level. I'm not really interested in just making things strictly for function, you know. I'm more interested in the art side of glass, and I really just I want to make things that people enjoy and like see every day and just use, or you know, something that I can be proud of. I'm not too interested in just making, you know, simple crafts.
As well as glass sculpture and art, I've learned that glass blowing is a technique that can also be used to make objects that serve function or a craft. So if glass is already considered to be on the borderline of art, is it better suited to just create craft?
I think glass is definitely great for crafts as well as art. I think it's really the best when you can find a way to combine those two aspects and make something that's, you know, totally functional and super artistic at the same time. I still don't really know what I'm making. I'm just gonna make that pending.
I know now how to blow glass, and my abilities have finally progressed. The teachers at Public Glass have taught me well, and I believe I am finally ready to create a piece for the art auction.
I think I'm just gonna fly and make.
I'm not sure what I'm going to make yet. It's going to take some planning. But I do know I need to do two things, and one is to come up with a concept, and two is to make a design that suits that concept. Hopefully I can accomplish these two and make a piece that is good art.
Amazing to watch the fluidity of which one person worked.
It's such an intense process. with at extremely high temperatures.
It is finally the day of the auction. My pieces are out on display and there has been a good turnout. Now all I have to do is just wait around for a buyer. People have been seeming to be interested in my pieces, but just end up walking away eventually. So I waited, and finally I got news that someone wanted to buy a piece. The other was sold a day later. I guess it's just like Jack and Guido said, art is in the eye of the viewer. If the person wants to buy a piece, they really just have to relate to it. All I had to do was just wait long enough for a person who could relate to the piece as much as I did.